Math-tuto upang ika'y umasenso. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina mag-aral na tayo. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina mag-aral na tayo. Halina mag-aral na tayo. Halina mag-aral na tayo. Halina, 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 mag-aral na tayo.
Ang araw sa inyong lahat. Welcome to Project SOAR, series of academic online reviews of CLAID Learning Module. Ako nga pala si Miss Rona Reyes, ang inyong moderator from Mandaluyong High School, home of the expert. Kanina, sinamahan ng mga grade 10 learners si Teacher Marlon. Ngayon naman ay samahan natin ang isa sa mga masisipag na guro ng Mandaluyong High School. She took her bachelor's degree at Rizal Technological University and a unit earner in master's degree at National Teachers College. She is also a module writer and a Project SOAR lecturer. She is currently a teacher in grade 11. Tara na at matuto kay Teacher EVA.
Thank you, Ma'am Rona. Hello, grade 11 students of Mandaluyong and home learning partners. Kumusta kayo? Sana tayong lahat ay nasa mabuting kalagayan. Sa oras na ito, samahan niyo ako at ating pag-aralan ang Module 4, Week 4 of 3rd quarter with the topic Mean and Variance of Discrete Random Variable. At the end of the learning episode, you are expected to illustrate mean and variance of a discrete random variable and calculate mean and variance of a discrete random variable. From the previous video lesson, you have learned probability distribution of a discrete random variable. And here's are the steps on getting the probability of each of the values of the random variable. Number 1. Determine the sample space. Assign letters that will represent each outcome. Example, tossing 2 coins. When we toss a coin, it is either head or tail will appear. And we may use letter H to represent head and T to represent tail. And based on this experiment, we have 4 possible outcomes. We have head-head, tail-head, head-tail, tail-tail. Next step is count the number of the value of the random variable. In tossing 2 coins, if we let X be the number of head that would appear, the value of the random variable will be 0, 1, and 2. Next step is, given the total possible values of the random variable, assign probability values to each value of the random variable. The probability of no head will appear, based on the given experiment, is 1/4. The probability of 1 head will appear is 1/2. And then the probability of 2 heads will appear is 1/4. You have learned from your previous study of mathematics that mean is a measure of central tendency. It is also a number that attempts to represent all the data gathered about a variable by getting the sum of all the outcomes and dividing it by the number of outcomes. Variance and standard deviation is a measure of variability, wherein it measures how spread out the distribution of the data. Here are some situations where mean, variance, and standard deviation were used. Average grade of students in all subjects. We have average number of students who attended synchronous class per week. We also have average sales of disposable face masks per week. Average number of patients who tested positive in COVID-19 daily. And we have average number of Filipino who wants to be vaccinated with Sinovac. In today's lesson, we will examine how mean, variance, and standard deviation describes a probability distribution of a discrete random variable. Let's have mean of discrete random variable. By definition, mean of a discrete random variable is the sum of the products of the values of the discrete random variable and their corresponding probabilities. The mean of a discrete random variable x is a weighted average of the possible values that the random variable can take. Unlike the sample mean of a group of observations, which gives each observation an equal weight, the mean of the random variable weights each outcome according to its probability. Mean of discrete random variable is also called an expected value of an event. The formula for mean of the probability distribution, we have mu equals the summation of the product of x and p of x, where mu is the mean or expected value, x is the value of the random variable, and p of x is the corresponding probability. Let's have example number 1. Suppose 3 Android tablets are tested at random. Let D represent the defective tablet and N represent the non-defective tablet. Let X be the random variable for the number of defective tablets. What is the average number of defective tablets? To find the mean of the discrete random variable, we have to construct the probability distribution of the given discrete random variable. For us to construct a probability distribution, we should determine the possible values of the random variable and their probability values. Based on the given problem, the possible outcome are, we have 8 possible outcomes. And the number of defective tablet are, we have for n and n, 0. Then we have n and d, we have 1. N, d, n, we have 1. D and n, we have 1. D, d, n, we have 2. D and d, we have 2. N, d, d, we have 2. And D, 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 we have 3 defective tablet. Therefore, the value of the random variable are 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the probability of having non-defective tablet is 1/8. The probability of having 1 is 3/8. And the probability of having 2 defective tablet is 3/8. And all 3 are defective is 1/8. Next step is multiply the value of the random variable to its corresponding probability. So we have to get the product of x and p of x. So we have 0 times 1/8 is 0. 1 times 3/8 is 3/8. 2 times 3/8 is 6/8. 3 times 1/8 is 3/8. Next step is find the summation of the products of the values of the random variable and the probabilities. Getting the summation, we have 12 over 8 or 1.5. Therefore, the value of the mean is 1.5. So therefore, the average number of defective Android tablet is 1.5. Variance and standard deviation of discrete random variable. By definition, variance and standard deviation are the measures of dispersion that tells us how spread the scores are from the mean and from each other. Variance is the average squared deviation from the mean, while standard deviation is the average deviation from the mean. A small variance and standard deviation indicate that the scores are close to the mean and from each other, while a large value tells us how spread the scores are from the mean. A variance and standard deviation of 0 means that all the scores in the dataset are equal. The formula in getting the variance of a discrete random variable is sigma squared equals the difference between the summation of the product of the squared value of x and p of x and the square of the mean, where sigma squared is the variance, x is the value of the discrete random variable, p of x is the probability of the discrete random variable, mu is the mean. The formula also for standard deviation of a discrete random variable is sigma equals the square root of the difference between the summation of the product of the squared value of x and p of x and the square of the mean, where sigma is the standard deviation, x is the value of the discrete random variable, p of x is the probability of the discrete random variable, and mu is the mean. Going back to the given problem while ago, where 3 Android tablets are tested at random, let us calculate the variance and then standard deviation. To find the variance and standard deviation, we have the following step. Step 1. Find the mean. While ago, we already calculated the value of the mean. We have 12 over 8 or 1.5. Next step is square each value of the random variable. Again, the random variable are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then the square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 2 is 4, square root of 3 is 9. Next step is we have to get the product of the squared value of the random variable and its corresponding probability. Then, get the sum of the product. So, we have to get the product of x squared and p of x. So, we have 0 times 1 over 8, it's 0. 1 times 3 over 8, it's 3 over 8. 4 times 3 over 8 is 12 over 8. And 9 times 1 over 8 is 9 over 8. Then, get the sum of the product. Therefore, we have 24 over 8 or it is 3. Next is, apply the formula in finding the variance. Then, we have the given formula. We have variance equals the difference between the summation of the product of the squared value of x and p of x and the square of the mean. And then, the summation is 3, while the mean is 1.5. Getting the squared of the mean, we have 2.5. So, we have 3 minus 2.5 equals 0.75. Next is find the standard deviation by getting the square root of the variance. So, based on the given formula while ago, variance is the square root of the difference between the summation of the product of the squared value of x and p of x and the square of the mean. Then, the square root of 0.75 is equal to 0.87. So, therefore, the value of the variance is 0.75 and the value of the standard deviation is 0.87. Let's have example number 2. The number of cars sold per day at a local car dealership along with its corresponding probabilities is shown in the succeeding table. Compute the mean, variance, and standard deviation of the probability distribution. So to find the mean, variance, and standard deviation, so we have to apply the given steps. First, we have to find the mean. For us to find the mean, we need to multiply the value of x and p of x. So we have 0 times 1 over 10 is 0. 1 times 2 over 10 is 2 over 10. 2 times 3 over 10 is 6 over 10. 3 times 2 equals 6 over 10. 4 times 2 over 10 is 8 over 10. To find the mean, we will get the sum of the product of x and p of x. So we have 22 over 10 or 2.2. Next is square each value of the random variable. So we have the square root of 0 is 0. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 2 is 4. Square root of 3 is 9. And square root of 4 is 60. Next step is get the product of the squared value of the random variable and its corresponding probability, then get the sum of the product. So like our example while ago, we have to multiply x squared to p of x. So 0 times 1 over 10, it's 0. 1 times 2 over 10, it's 2 over 10. 4 times 3 over 10 is 12 over 10. 9 times 2 over 10 is 18 over 10. And 16 times 2 over 10 equals 32 over 10. Then get the sum of the product. So we have 64 over 10 or 6.4. Next step is apply the formula in finding the variance. So we have summation of the product of the square root of p of x is 6.4 and then our mean is 2.2. Then the square root of the mean, which is 2.2, is 4.84. So 6.4 minus 4.84 is 1.56. Then to find the standard deviation, just get the square root of the variance. So we have the square root of 1.56 is 1.25. Therefore, the value of the mean is 2.2, the value of the variance is 1.56, and the standard deviation is 1.25. Let's have example number 3. Find the standard deviation of the number of the monthly absences of John based on his previous records of absences as presented in the probability distribution below. The number of absences are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the corresponding percentage are 25%, 30%, 30%, and 15%. Going back to the given problem, we just need to solve the value of the standard deviation. But, for us to solve the value of the standard deviation, we should know the value of the mean and the variance. Therefore, we let x, the number, be the number of absences, while the percentage will be the p of x. For us to easily solve the given numbers, we need to make the 25%, 30%, 15% into decimal. So therefore, we have 0.25, 0.30, 0.15. Okay. Next is, we need to solve the value of the mean. Can you still remember on how to solve the value of the mean? Okay. So first is, we have to multiply x to p of x. So therefore, we have 1 times 0.25 is 0.25, 2 times 0.30 is 0.60, 3 times 0.30 is 0.90, and 4 times 0.15 is 0.60. Then, after getting their product, we need to get their sum. And the sum is 2.35. And this 2.35 is the value of our mean. Okay. So next is, we need to get the squared of x. So the squared of x is, for 1, it's 1. Square root of 2 is 4. Square root of 3 is 9. Square root of 4 is 16. So after getting the square root of x, then the next step will be, okay, so we have to multiply the square root of x to p of x. So 1 times 0.25 is 0.25. 4 times 0.30 is 1.20. 9 times 0.30 is 2.70. And 16 times 0.15 is 2.40. Okay, after getting their product, we need to get their summation. And the summation is 6.55. We already have value for mean, and we already have the summation of the squared of the product of x and p of x. Okay, so therefore, we can now solve the value of the variance. So, using the given formula, so we have the value of the summation of the product of x squared and p of x, which is 6.55, and the mean is 2.35. Getting the square root of the mean is 5.52. Then, 6.55 minus 5.52 is 1.03. Okay, so we have the value of the variance, which is 1.03. Then, getting the standard deviation is just simply get the square root of 1.03. And the square root of 1.03 is 1.01. Okay, so very good, very good, very good. We are already done how to find the value of the mean, variance, and standard deviation. I hope you've learned something from me today. Thank you for listening. I am Miss Eva D. Makadangdang from Mandaluyong High School, Senior High School Department. Keep safe and God bless everyone.